Episode 3. The pattern. The disappearances stunned the town. The basement discovery shook it to its core. But sometimes the truth doesn't emerge all at once. Sometimes it reveals itself in patterns, quiet, hidden threads that only make sense when you step back far enough to see the whole picture. And in Birch Hollow, a pattern was beginning to form. One that investigators had failed to see for years. Part 1. A timeline emerges. For months, Birch Hollow police had been drowning in speculation, rumors, theories, scapegoats. But something changed the moment investigators returned to the basement at 12 Grover Lane. Not physically, psychologically. The discovery of multiple blood types, evidence of long-term cleaning, and signs of organized violence forced detectives to do something they hadn't done before. Start at the beginning. The first missing girl nobody connected. Her name wasn't on the basement evidence list. She vanished 3 years before the first widely known disappearance. Her name was Harper Lee, age 15. Harper went missing in early spring. Light rains, muddy roads, low community awareness. It never turned into a statewide case. Her mother assumed she'd run away. Police didn't challenge that assumption. But now, 3 years later, her case file landed on Detective Owen's desk with a red sticky note that read, "Look at location. Harper disappeared less than 400 yards from 12 Grover Lane." The detective's night session. Owens, tired and still shaken from the basement findings, spread out the case files on the table. 8 known victims, Harper making 9, and every one of them vanished within a 2-mile radius of one address. It wasn't coincidence. It was a hunting ground. Detective Owens, we thought it was random. We really did. But you can't call something random when every pin on the map is basically walking distance from a single house. The basement wasn't just a crime scene. It was a center point, the killer's nucleus. The journalist who noticed first. Local journalist Grace Adler had been reporting on the disappearances for years. But she wasn't taken seriously. Not until she published an article titled, "The Grover Lane Cluster." She noticed a pattern before the police did. Grace Adler. It wasn't science. It was instinct. Every time I interviewed a family, they described the same thing. The girls were last seen within the same general grid. But no one wanted panic, so no one connected it. Grace had been dismissed as sensationalist. Now she looked prophetic. Part 2. The families start talking. One of the biggest failures in Birch Hollow's investigation was the assumption that each disappearance was isolated. That each girl had her own story, her own circumstances, her own tragedy. But something changed in episode 3. The families met, and they compared notes. The emotional community gathering, held in the old church hall. Folding chairs scraping, weathered faces, mothers clutching printed photos. Some families still in denial, others angry, others numb. But when they began sharing what their daughters told them in the weeks before they disappeared, the room fell silent. Because the stories overlapped. The repeated descriptions. Multiple girls had mentioned a white pickup truck seen parked on Grover Lane. A man rumored to invite teens for after-school jobs. Someone who watched them walk home. A basement that kids whispered about long before the police discovered it. Different voices, different households, same warnings. The killer wasn't a myth. He wasn't a drifter. He wasn't a sudden monster. He had been part of the town's daily landscape for years, and Birch Hollow had never noticed. The chilling story from one family, one mother, Erin Collins, shared something investigators later called the missing key. Her daughter, Tabby, vanished 2 summers ago. Erin recalled a night when Tabby came home shaken after walking past 12 Grover Lane. Erin Collins. She said she heard something, like crying, or maybe humming, coming from the basement window. I told her it was probably a TV. But the way she looked at me, I should have called someone. I should have done something. Everyone in the room had a moment like this. Moments they dismissed. Moments that now felt like warnings they never understood. The suspect list shrinks. 12 to 1800 hours. Detectives had long believed the killer might be transient. Someone in and out of town. But the basement changed that. The killer needed privacy, stability, time, knowledge of the neighborhood, confidence nobody would question him. This wasn't chaos. It was routine, which meant only one thing. The killer lived in Birch Hollow. The home's ownership history. When detectives pulled the ownership record for 12 Grover Lane, something strange surfaced. The house had changed hands 3 times in 10 years. Each owner stayed less than 2 years. 2 of the previous tenants refused interviews. 1 had moved states unexpectedly. But the basement remained untouched between owners, which raised a disturbing question. Was the killer using the house without actually living there? A stash house, a workspace, a controlled environment, which meant the suspect list shifted again toward people who had keys or access or knowledge of break-ins. The neighbor who finally spoke up, Mrs. Latham, who lived across the street for 20 years, told investigators something she never thought was relevant. She often saw someone entering 12 Grover Lane late at night when the house was supposed to be vacant. Not someone who lived there, someone who visited. Always alone, always quiet, always after midnight. She described him only as tall, thin, walked with purpose, and never parked in the driveway. Sound familiar? It matched the vague, early descriptions from teens around town. The psychological profile narrows. Profiler Stephen Merrick concluded, "You're looking at a methodical, organized repeat offender. Someone intelligent, someone compulsively clean, someone who blends into the background, someone who works a predictable job, lives alone, avoids community events, observes people more than speaks to them, knows the girls' routines." The killer wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was hiding in plain sight. Part 4. The return to the basement. Investigators revisited the basement with a forensic anthropologist and specialized luminol technicians. What they found rewrote the timeline. Evidence of multiple phases of use. The blood patterns on the walls weren't consistent with one event or even 1 year. When they examined the fluorescence patterns under spectrum analysis, the technician concluded there are at least 4 separate periods of activity. For chapters, for waves, for evolutions of the killer's behavior. Each phase showed refinement. Early stains, messy, amateur. Later stains, controlled, confined. Latest, almost invisible without luminol, the killer improved. This wasn't just cruelty. This was progression. For point 2, the hidden room. Behind a shelving unit, investigators found a boarded-over crawlspace containing 3 orange extension cords, a foldable chair, a worn notebook. The notebook's pages were ripped out, cleanly, intentionally. But on the inside cover, lightly indented from previous writing, a lab technician enhanced the impressions. The indentions revealed one chilling phrase, "Don't let them see you." It was the killer's handwriting, and it confirmed the profiler's theory. He wasn't impulsive. He was disciplined. 4.3. The person of interest envelope. In the far left corner, tucked into an electrical panel, was an old, yellowed manila envelope labeled POI Archived. Inside were photocopies of early reports from Harper Lee's disappearance, meaning someone had collected and stored investigative documents inside the basement. Someone had been monitoring the investigation from the very beginning. The killer was studying law enforcement. Part 5. The town turns on itself. With the basement revelations public, all trust collapsed. Rumors spread like wildfire. Every loner, every quiet man, every older bachelor became a suspect. Workers were harassed. Teachers eyed. Clerks glared at. The town wasn't just afraid, it was hunting. Grace Adler described it as paranoia wearing a sheriff's badge. People didn't care if accusations were grounded in evidence. They wanted a villain, and villains are easy to create in the dark. 5.2. A local man is mistakenly targeted. A reclusive handyman named Dale Whitaker became an unofficial suspect after someone claimed they saw him near Grover Lane months earlier. Within days, angry residents confronted him at a gas station, yelling, filming, accusing. Police had to escort him home. He had zero connection to the case. But the town didn't want truth anymore. They wanted closure. 5.3 The family's division. The families, once united, fell into disagreements. Some supported the police. Some demanded federal intervention. Some accused others of withholding information. Grief had turned to suspicion. Suspicion became hostility. The killer had only one advantage now. The town was too fractured to fight him. Part 6. A new lead shatters everything. 2 weeks after the basement was processed, a break finally came. Not from evidence, not from a witness, not from luck. From a mistake the killer made years earlier, one nobody ever thought to re-examine. 6.1 The anonymous tip line recording. During a routine digitization of archived calls, a state technician discovered an old tip line voicemail from Harper Lee's disappearance. The audio was damaged, muffled, faint. But one thing was clear: the caller was male, and he claimed he saw Harper taken. The recording was dismissed years ago because the caller sounded intoxicated. But now, cleaned up with modern tools, the voice exhibited something detectives recognized: control, clarity, and familiarity. One investigator leaned back in his chair and whispered, "It's him. He was taunting us." 6.2 The name hidden in the noise. A forensic audio specialist uncovered a nearly imperceptible whisper under the caller's breathing. The caller said his own name, or rather, he said a name he wanted investigators to hear. A name that wasn't in any suspect file. A name no family recognized. Almost like a test. Almost like a game. 6.3 The caller's last words. At the end of the voicemail, the man laughs softly, barely audible, and says, "You're looking in the wrong house." A sentence that suddenly meant something entirely different after the basement discovery. It didn't mean investigators were wrong. It meant the killer wanted them to be right. But too late. Final minute. Someone in Birch Hollow has been playing predator for years. Someone who hides in routine. Someone who studies his own crimes. Someone who followed the investigation while it followed him. And now, investigators know something they didn't before. This was not random, not impulsive, not chaotic. It was a pattern, one the killer designed. Episode 4, The Watcher, coming next.